Hello, welcome. I am going to start doing a YouTube vlog and I'm so excited. So if you are tuning in to this video, thank you so much for watching. I'm excited. I totally love blogging, but sometimes that's not everyone wants to read. Sometimes viewing a video is a little bit more fun. So I thought I'd give it a try. I thought I'd start this first video out by giving you a little bit of background, telling you a little bit about me, what I'm about, what I'm doing, kind of my backstory. So that's probably a little bit of a longer one, but hopefully that'll keep you entertained all the way through. So who am I? I'm Sarah Carr. I am a financial advisor, planner, certified financial planner, all that good stuff. I got into the financial services industry back in 1999, which basically means I've been in this for almost 20 years now, which is crazy because that means that I started out really young, which I did. In fact, if you are a former classmate of mine, you know that I technically in 1999 was supposed to be graduating with you. I ended up graduating a little early just due to some homeschooling things. So my first job in this industry was all because I needed to get a job. College was kind of on the back burner. I kind of thought, believe it or not, that I was going to go to be a youth pastor. And so I was kind of exploring that and needed a job to get some money. Happened to answer an ad that I think my mom had actually cut out and left for me, because back then you didn't do internet searches. Everything was like on the paper. And there was a paper ad for a receptionist position for a company called Prudential Securities. And back then, I had no idea what a security was. I actually thought Prudential Securities must be some type of home alarm system type company. Had no idea what I was getting myself into. But I went to the interview, learned that in fact, totally not home securities, all financial services industry. Still didn't know what that meant, but got the job and started working as their receptionist and new accounts clerk. Let me tell you, the industry back then was so interesting, so different than what we have now. I worked back in a little cage area is what they called it, answering phones, opening new accounts. But that was also back when you didn't do trades electronically over the computer. Everything was written on a paper ticket and then delivered to the person that sat next to me, which was the wire clerk. And then she hand typed in all of those orders and then they got executed. Everything came back and it was just this whole process. It was crazy. And I enjoyed doing that. I grew in the company and worked my way up to being a sales assistant. So I supported a couple different brokers that worked there. And I learned a lot because it was 1999, so the market was doing great. It was big tech, everything was hot and heavy in tech. And it was interesting because I worked with different advisors. I heard different perspectives. So on one hand, I was hearing, yes, tech, buy, this is great, new opportunity, new growth, awesome, get in low, because this is just gonna skyrocket. And then on the flip side, you had the argument of, you know what, we don't know what the real valuation is here. We don't know what we're actually buying. What is this company's business? What are they doing? What are the real projections here? And this is a lot of speculation going on. So then you had some of the advisors that were a little safer. And then of course, what was gonna happen was we had the tech wreck, what we like to call the tech wreck. Basically the market came down and a lot of companies did go bankrupt. A lot of those smaller companies did. And so what I got to see was a little bit of that fallout. And what I learned, one of the big lessons that I learned was you don't take on more risk than what you need. You know, don't be over speculative. In fact, during that time, I actually witnessed one of our clients who was big into options trading, open options, or what we call naked options, meaning that he didn't actually own the assets he was gambling against. And when that happens, if the market goes in the wrong direction, guess what? You have to owe a ton of money sometimes. And in this case, it was a ton of money. And unfortunately, in this scenario, he lost everything. And I didn't work with that advisor, but occasionally filled in. And even those, I can still remember those phone calls. I can still remember calling him and saying, we have another margin call, here's the amount. And hearing at that point in time, because we were well into it, just the tone of his voice as he was losing everything. And eventually he did go bankrupt. which was so hard to see. He was a prominent man in the community and just took so much more risk than what he needed to. So that was a hard lesson learned. I learned that. I still feel that. And I'm not even the client or the advisor, but it stuck with me. The other thing I learned on the flip side of that is some of the advisors were very core oriented in investing, meaning that they were buying blue chip companies. They're buying companies that have been around for a long time, that paid back regular dividends. I learned what a dividend was because I'm seeing clients' dividend checks come in. Some of these clients' checks were bigger than my own paycheck at that point in time. So I learned very quickly that dividends can really add to your bottom line. So actually, in most of my portfolio construction to this day, you will see quite a bit of dividend investing, because I do believe in the growth of dividends, and what dividends add is basically earning money on money that you already have. You know, you're just getting even more money, which is great. So I learned a lot. I had an opportunity to really glean a lot from these advisors. I was always asked if I wanted to move forward. They were like, you can do anything in this organization. You can move forward to be an advisor. Would you ever want to do that? And I don't know how many times I said no, because in order to do that, you had to earn your Series 7 license. And you have to understand, at that point in time, I was watching everything that was going on and watching these advisors. And I don't know if the wirehouses are still set up this way, but back then, we would hire a handful, so maybe 5, 6, and our office was small, so like basically hiring like a whole other group of advisors. Basically their job was just to train. They just studied. They sat in a conference room all day and studied, and they got paid to do that. And then at the end of, I don't remember if it was a month or 3 months, they went down to New York City, did a review, and then took their exam, their Series 7 exam. If they failed, they were done. That's it. You don't come home, you don't go back to the office. The number of people that I saw fail in that was astronomical. The pass-fail ratio was so high as far as the fail. So many people failed it, especially that first time, that it scared me off from taking it, I'll tell you that. And then when I saw the advisors that did come back having passed it, there was such high levels of goals that they had to achieve. They had to bring in so many assets in order to stay employed. And I saw so many of them fail at that level that I thought, well, I don't really want to do that either. So I, at that point, was, I'm just going to stick to the administrative side of things. I ended up finding, meeting someone and getting married, and my husband at the time lived a little bit further away. So my travel, I live rurally, by the way. I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, always have, lived in Bradford County, and almost always have. I shouldn't say always. There are a few stints. I lived in Florida, Lakeland, Florida for a little bit, and lived in Endicott, New York for a period of time too. But understand that I've always lived in this rural area of Bradford County. So anytime that I had a job, it required some travel. So typical travel for me would be 45 minutes one way, which I understand people that live in the city, they commute, but that's just drive time, and that's sometimes drive time in bad weather. Well, now it was going to be even a little bit further from that, and my husband at the time was just, you know, maybe this isn't the right fit for us, for our lifestyle. Maybe you can find another job. So I ended up finding another job as an administrator or administrative support for an insurance company, a local insurance agent, just doing personal lines, so home, auto. It was fine. It was, you know, easy enough. No problems there. But I missed something. I really missed something. There was something, whether it was the excitement, the clientele, just the natural interest that I had in the industry. I knew something was missing, and I was not happy. So, actually, and I knew that in order to get back into the industry, I was going to need to be licensed. I was going to have to get that Series 7. Even if I wanted to be on support staff, I needed that Series 7. So I bought the books, and before I went applying for jobs, I started studying. I'd take my lunch hour, and I'd go to the library, and I would study. And then when I felt like I was somewhat ready, I started looking for a company that would sponsor me, because that was the other thing. At that point in time, you needed to come. I heard this might be changing, but I think it still stands today that you need to be sponsored by a company in order to sit for your Series 7 exam. So I found someone, ironically. There was a small local independent advisor that had just bought another book of business and was transitioning it, and they needed someone to sit in there in that office, in the local office, and man that all the time because they were traveling about an hour away. And so I said, sure, I'll be your office administrator, I'll man the office if you will sponsor me for my 7. They didn't need me to be licensed, but they agreed. Thank God they agreed. And get this, I passed it on my first try. Oh my gosh, I can still literally feel the joy of hitting the button and seeing that pass. Oh my gosh, so exciting. So got my Series 7, but unfortunately the company I was working for, because they had just bought that business and were transitioning it, they closed their office doors. So they laid me off. Now, thing is, sometimes timing is everything, right? They laid me off. It was in the fall. It was right before Thanksgiving. And I got to spend 2 amazing days with my younger brother. I'm one of 4. I have an older brother, and then I have a younger sister, and then my youngest brother, Luke, who was 5 years younger than I am. He and I, it was just at that amazing time period where he was able to drive. I was married, living, not too far away from his house, but he would come over and visit. Well, it just happened to be that I was laid off. I was home in the afternoon. He was out of school because school got out early for Thanksgiving break. He came over and hung out with me. We watched movies. I can't even tell you the relationship we had, and it was just so special. It was exceptionally special because after Thanksgiving, he was involved in a car accident and passed away unexpectedly, completely unexpectedly. So I cherish that time, let me tell you. It just, things work out mysteriously. Sometimes we don't know the benefits of what can seem like a horrible thing. Being laid off from my job, not knowing where I'm just going to go next. Felt awful, but it gave me the opportunity to spend those last couple days with my brother, and then also have that time to be with my family, to grieve, to be there with my parents and my other siblings. It was awesome. And eventually I had to find a job and thank God. Up until that point I had really been adamant on staying on the administrative side, but I was young and I was female, and those positions were kind of hard to come by. Again, rural area, not a lot of, there's only so many investment firms in the area. But I happened to get hired by a company called AIG Valak as an advisor, which would totally put me out of my comfort zone. But what was amazing about Valak is that they had such a strong education program. They flew me all over for different trainings, because their business was really centered on 403Bs. And that's, if you're familiar with your employer plan, which is 401k, 403B is the same thing, except that it's for nonprofits. So Valak serviced, and in this case I was servicing a lot of teachers, healthcare professionals, college professors, that type of clientele. And what was awesome is that because they were who we were serving, we learned so much about how to present, how to break down financial concepts in a way that a teacher would appreciate. So I learned a ton, and it was awesome. And at that same time, that was kind of when financial planning had just become like a thing. You started to run retirement analysis. We started to plan for retirement. We started to plan for college education. And what's funny is that back then, you couldn't run an analysis on your computer like you can now. Like, you can go and you can run an analysis pretty quickly on some of those financial calculators. Back then, like, I literally would gather the information and then send it out to like KPMG, and then they would return it with a full financial plan. It's crazy. But that also whet my appetite for financial planning. So not only was I like in this place of sharing the information and the knowledge that I had with teachers and helping them plan for their futures, which was awesome. It was just everything, except that although the company allowed you to sell other products other than an annuity, the compensation structure really didn't support that at that point in time. See, annuities aren't right for every investor in all circumstances. There has to be other products. And I just could not justify recommending a product that wasn't right for the client in order to feed my family, to pay my bills. So that became a little bit of an internal conflict, actually a huge internal conflict. So that's what led me to look for another job. I ended up finding a position with a trust company that they did a lot of retirement planning or retirement plan management. So they had a lot of different corporations that they administered their retirement plan, their 401k, their 403b. And I ended up working there doing a lot of plan participant education. It was like a perfect fit. I learned so much. I was doing retirement planning, helping participants choose an asset allocation, helping them decide what amount they should contribute, could contribute, and what the effect would be on their net pay. I loved it. It was awesome. With the exception that that Series 7 that I had worked so hard to get wasn't being utilized. See, you have to be selling a product in order to keep that license active. And I was no longer actually selling a product. I was just doing administrative and really the company, the trust company wasn't set up as a broker dealer. They weren't selling the product in that way either. So I was up against this dilemma of you get a 2-year sabbatical basically where you can be inactive with your Series 7. And I'm just getting close to that. Another employee there was also in that same predicament, and he had gone and gotten another job at another bank doing investment services, but licensed. So he reached out to me and said, hey, get this. This company is in your neck of the woods. They're looking for another advisor, and it's in your region. I mean, it is like 10 minutes away from where you live. So come on down. I did, and it was great. I was working as an advisor, meeting new clients, and just doing my thing. I wished at that point in time I was doing a little bit more financial planning than what I was doing instead of just solely focusing on investments. There was less of a concern over investment products. At least I had a varied amount of investment products. It wasn't just annuities. But they're still revenue oriented. But I also happened to meet, I was at that point in time going through divorce and happened to meet the person that I am now married to there. And as that relationship started to evolve a little bit, I thought, you know, office, relationship, romance, better not mix the two. So as a headhunter happened to be calling me, telling me about this amazing opportunity and how great it would be. Now, I'll tell you, it's flattering to be called by a headhunter. But at the same time, I'm thinking, yeah, you guys are just going to sell me because you're getting paid a commission. You're going to sell me on whatever this company is. And trust me, at this point in time, I know these companies and I know they're all kind of the same. So you're going to tell me that it's not focused on revenue, that they're focused on the client, that I'd get to do all this financial planning. I wouldn't have any conflict of interest. It'd be my dream job. I'm like, I doubt it, but I'll go to the interview because again, the whole office romance thing. So I went and did the interview. They were right. They backed up everything. This company, this Corning Credit Union, was so focused on their culture, on putting the client's needs first, that I basically, it really was the dream job for me at that point in time. I was doing financial planning, working with client, making recommendations, working with an amazing group of clients, really from Corning Incorporated, people that were getting ready to retire, doing retirement analysis, getting to witness them and move through those first few years of retirement, seeing what worked, what made one client retire better than another. It was such a diverse group of people that I was working with, such interesting clients, and basically doing everything that I love to do. I couldn't have been happier. I had gone on to marry my now husband, and I had bought a house and I was traveling a little bit. We had stepchildren that were in another school district, so I had to be somewhat close for them. And then also, so I was traveling maybe 45, 50 minutes, not a big deal. And I loved my job. But we had an opportunity where we had been paying 2 mortgages. As part of his divorce, he had maintained and was continuing to pay the mortgage on his home. It was a family home, but his ex-wife was living there. Well, the house became available, And so here I am. I was actually 9 months pregnant at the time. Well, maybe not quite 9 months, but a good 6 months pregnant. And he says, oh, the house has become available. You know, let's consider moving into the house. Let's, you know, not pay 2 mortgages. And it would offer you an opportunity to go out on your own, start your own practice, which is something I'd always talked about, but down the road. It would offer you the opportunity to be at home, to have a little bit more work-life balance. So yeah, we made that huge decision, and I sold my house, which sold very quickly, and we moved. It's crazy when I think back on that time frame, because I was working full-time, I was pregnant, and I think that pregnancy like drive hits you, and like we renovated and painted and tore carpet out, and just, I mean, we redid a bathroom all within, I think, 2.5 months. It was absolutely insane. Still don't know how I did that. And gosh, if I could harness and sell that energy. But we did it, and I moved, and then went out on my own, which was a perfect life balance. It really was. I got to be home with my son, who we named Luke after my brother. You still get all emotional about it. But yeah, it was awesome. So fast forward, here we are, almost 6 years later, and that baby, I get to show you a picture. That baby is now my son Luke, who is now in kindergarten, first year in kindergarten. I have my baby girl Ella, who's now 2 years old, and I have this big, amazing, wonderful family. So my stepchildren, who are all grown through college, and now kind of starting their own life. So Ryan and Mike, they're getting married this year. And then I have Christian and his wife Marcy, and they have 2 babies. So technically I'm a grandmother. How crazy is that? And then Jessie and her boyfriend here in this picture. My husband Jeff and my 2 little ones. With this big, beautiful family, I love it. And now I am focusing on, of course, living life, but also taking my business to the next level. And where I am today is still focused on financial planning, retirement planning, all of that good stuff. But I've learned so much. Life experience has taught me so much. And now I'm bringing everything that I'm learning to a totally different format. Not so traditional with my financial planning, much more wanting to share. Now we have this amazing platform with social media that I can share what I know to you through video. And what I'm really focused on, and what my heart is passionate about these days, is really in retirement planning. Retirement planning is changing drastically. We used to plan on pension, Social Security, and the savings as income sources in retirement. And that used to be enough for most people to retire on. But we've lost a huge piece of that, pensions. And without pension benefits, you're left with Social Security and your own savings. And it's a whole nother video, and we will get into that, I promise. But that's not enough. And so what we're doing is we're seeing this evolution of retirement and what we consider to be retirement. And this is where I get super excited, because retirement planning now is less about stopping work altogether. And now it's about a whole new opportunity. Just because you can't afford to work, yeah, that didn't make sense. Just because you can't afford to stop working in retirement does not mean that you have to stay in the same job that you've hated forever. Now, better than ever, more than ever, is the perfect opportunity for you to explore what you really want to do. And there are so many people that are in that place where they've been working and slaving away in a job that they don't like. They realize they can't afford to retire, and they ask themselves, now what? And I come in and I say, this is what you're going to do. We're going to work together. We're going to do all the financial planning. We're also going to explore what it would look like to live a life that you absolutely love living. What are you good at? What are your strengths? What are your passions? What are your interests? What did you want to be when you were a kid? And together we get to start exploring all of those opportunities and what that might look like, and how that might fit into your life. So now it's not about just stop working altogether and just vacation for the rest of your life. It is about, whoa, how do I really want to live? How do I want to live for the rest of my life in a way that's really meaningful, that I love waking up every day and feeling like I'm contributing, that I'm making the most, I'm doing the most, I'm having an impact, and I'm getting to live the life that I love. So that's kind of what it's about. And so stay tuned, because we're going to do a ton of video. We're going to talk about this. It's a huge passion of mine. I love doing it. And then there's another aspect that I'm really focused on right now, which is really when it comes down to cash flow management. So many of our spending decisions are really influenced by our culture, by media, by what's just known or expected of us. We operate so much on a subconscious level that we're not even aware. And what I'm trying to do is get people to interrupt that process and stop and think, is how I'm spending my money, is how I'm spending my time, so your resources, is how I'm spending that really reflective of what I want, of the life that I want to create? And we're talking about and exploring what it looks like to really put what's important front and center, so that you're making everyday spending decisions, that you're making financial decisions, how you're spending your time in ways that really allow you to live the life that you love living, regardless of where you are, whatever your age, whatever your circumstances, whatever the amount of resources that you have, that you're making the most of it. As you can probably tell, I get so passionate about this, because this is my life's work right now. This is what I'm just focused on, and I'm so excited about. I get a little preachy, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm the daughter of a preacher, so it's kind of just in my blood. So you might see that in some of these videos. But I'm just so excited to present these ideas, to inspire you, to share new ways of thinking about things, to challenge you, to think about money and think about how you're using your resources, to think about retirement in new ways. And I'm just so excited to begin sharing that with you. So if you like this video, please, and I've been dying to say this because I have a 6-year-old who loves watching YouTube videos and thinks he's going to be a YouTuber when he grows up. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. But seriously, stay tuned, and if you think of someone that would love, being part of it, tell them about it. Share this with them. I would love it. And if you have questions, you have things, ideas, I want you to leave that in the comments. I want you to email me, follow me on social media, connect with me, because that's what it's about. It's about you. And it's about, what can I bring to you? How can I help you? How can I help you live a better life? So please comment, like, subscribe, all that, and stay tuned, because we're getting ready for an amazing journey. Till next time, bye.